So to start with my business problem, at the start of the semester, my project was pretty broad and approached a descriptive look that has now been changed to predictive. And I was majorly focused on the costs the United States spends on prisons, but not the why and how we can evaluate if there is success behind these costs. So as shown here in my updated concept map that has been refined mainly due to feedback that was given throughout the semester, I was able to change the business problem to center on a more actionable question, which was, does higher spending by states actually lead to lower rearrest rates? I decided to add recidivism data to explore the answer to this question for alongside identifying the inefficiencies of state spending. My project integrates 4 major data sources, but utilizes 5. The 5th one is not integrated into my master data set, but it's the Department of Justice fiscal spending, which will be used in my report. But to start with my master data set, the first one is the facility level data set per state and is used to calculate the average incarcerated population and average capacity used per state. Alongside the state fiscal data set, which is the annual cost per prisoner for all states, and created high spend and low spend states through statistical testing and made a binary variable. Recidivism data set is taken from 4-year segments and the rearrest rate based on a 3-year rearrest period. There are some states that don't qualify with a rate for the 4-year segments. So what I did with that is I collected data to get the most recent rate available for the data set. And then through this, I used to create a average rearrest rate and a binary variable of high and low rearrest rates for my regression model. The last data set that was implemented into my master data set was the state population, which was basically just the overall average population within prisons over 10 plus years, with some states even ranging back to 2001. And then there were also additional variables created from statistical testing for my master data set. My analytical framework includes several pieces. For applied probability, I established the baseline recidivism probabilities with high versus low rearrest. And then from there, in statistical inference, I compared the high spend versus low spend states to see if there were any major differences between them. Hypothesis testing, I had a few, but the highlight one was to test if cost per prisoner affected rearrest. And this was conducted through a variety of tests, but ultimately it was also implemented into my regression model. And my regression model was logistic and chose to view the high rearrest variable with the multiple predictors. This approach allowed me to estimate the probability of high recidivism for each state, and then the histogram to the right also highlights the predicted rearrest probabilities. Overall, I decided to roll with logistic regression over linear due to various reasons, but the 2 main reasons being, one, that the number should be a percentage and a probability, then shouldn't go below 0 or beyond 1, which can happen with linear regression. And the other is due to the high rearrest being a binary variable and outcome, it is not continuous like linear would like. The other approaches that I was looking at to start off with that I originally was going to do was descriptive business intelligence, but decided against it with the feedback given. And due to it not being very useful towards policy change, I was heavily focused on mapping KPIs and creating interactive dashboards rather than actually attacking the problem at hand. And centering around recidivism helped achieve my approach now, and also reinforces the idea of why I believe logistic regression works best with the business insights I am trying to achieve with this project. And then the purpose of this project is to answer if spending does relate to recidivism. The key finding was that spending is not actually related to recidivism, whether it is lower or higher. Therefore, higher costs does not equate to better outcomes. This means that resources may be misallocated in state prison systems through our funding and budgeting, and it provides clear evidence for redirecting this funding to programs that aim to make America a better place for its citizens. Even those who are in prison deserve the opportunity to reform and contribute to their country in a positive manner. And this will create effective reentry to our communities and show that our tax money is actually going towards good. The data can help support these policy decisions and enable American leaders to evaluate where the money is being spent versus what actually reduces recidivism in our country. This business intelligence project has been able to capture this data and relay the information to policymakers through the intelligence gained from the results of the project. And with this, it can be used towards change for our country state by state.